Good evening. Welcome to the dwelling place. This is Evangelist George J. Roberson. I greet you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Tonight, I'm extremely excited to be hosting a first time guest. I wanted to say Dr. Jini Thornton. But before I introduce her, I want to just briefly welcome any first time viewers. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to say welcome to the dwelling place from YouTube as well as from Facebook. I also want to encourage each one of our viewers tonight to tag and share. This presentation is going to be a blessing not only to you, but to your families and to other loved ones. So please tag and share. Begin to do that at this time while we're waiting for others to join. In the meantime, welcome to the month of May. And for the month of May, we have annually celebrated mothers and mother figures. So this month, I'm excited to be launching tonight with a mother as well. And our theme for the month, winning with wisdom. So tonight, again, I'm excited to be hosting a first time guest on tonight. And I'm going to just briefly introduce her and have her really introduce herself. So tonight we have with us Jini Thornton, who is a CPA and the founder of Envision Business Management Group. And she's also the founder of Thank Me Later podcast. Tonight, I want you to tag and share and encourage others to join us on tonight. She will be entertaining questions, and she will share more about her format, how she would like to do that. I'm indeed very pleased, and I want to thank you, Jini, for accepting my invitation. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm honored to have you on tonight. I'm going to turn it over to you so you can begin this evening and you can continue to encourage others. And I'm not concerned, but I know that they're going to be coming in, and I'm excited to hear and share on tonight. God bless you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Evangelist Doris. I am honored and excited to be here with you in the dwelling place this evening. And thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate the invitation. I always encourage people, like the young folks say, shoot your shot. And you reached out. And again, I'm grateful to be here to talk to people about something so important as their legacy.
What I'm
So,
going to do is remove myself from the
okay.
stage and have you go for it. All
And
right.
turn it over to me. Awesome. Thank you again. Well, again, good evening, everyone, or whenever you are having the opportunity to view this. And hold on. Hopefully you all can see my screen. And just wanted to again say, kind of just level set what we're going to be talking about today. I am what a lot of folks consider me a finance or money expert. And I'll talk about my background in a little bit, but there's nothing more that I love to talk about more than legacy. And Evangelist Doris and I were talking before the session this evening, and I said, I'm always grateful wherever we get spiritually fed. It's so important that we also have the opportunity to learn about our finances too. Those things are actually connected. And love to be in a place where we're getting what we need for our life and our souls and our family, but also, we have to have these finances in order as well. So just a little bit about me. I've been married 31 years to my husband, David Thornton. We have two adult children. Thank you, Lord. I'm at the point both of my kids are grown and out the house. And my whole life, I've always just kind of been that go-to person in my family when people were, in need of some financial direction, but particularly when someone passed away. A little bit about me personally, I am what I consider a serial entrepreneur. Um, Evangelist Doris mentioned that I am the founder and CEO of a firm called Envision Business Management Group. And I have literally spent the last 30 years as an accountant and CPA in the entertainment industry. And that's a whole nother story and a whole nother presentation for another day. But as you can see, some of the pictures reflected over to the right, there's some pictures of my family. You see me down at the bottom, the Walk of Fame in Los Angeles with the artist Ludacris and some of the plaques that in my wall in my office. But again, I've had the honor and privilege to work in the entertainment industry 30 years. But what has really been my greatest joy has been being the money expert for Reach Media. So if you ever heard me on the Willie Moore Jr. show, or if you've ever heard me on Erica Campbell Get Up Mornings or the Ricky Smiley Show, I have been working in radio since 1996. And radio has really been my classroom. It's just really been the opportunity for me to be able to talk and teach all of us about money and finances. Again, it's always kind of been a complicated topic for us culturally, but again, I have been honored to play that role for so many years. I want to make sure that you're able to stay connected with me after the session. So every way in the whole world on how to get in touch with me or communicate with me is here. Email address, website, social media, LinkedIn. That's my direct office number. So please feel free to engage with me. Absolutely love hearing from people. And it's an honor for me to be on the journey with people through their life, their financial life. So again, please feel free to engage with me. Also shared some information about our podcast, the Thank Me Later Show with me, your host. Evangelist Doris referenced that. So you can hear that on YouTube and Spotify, Apple, wherever you download and listen to your podcast. So if you need a little longer format guidance and help with your finances, please, again, feel free to interact with me that way. Karen says, when I lived in Atlanta, I did hear you on the Willie Moore Jr. show. Between all three shows, again, Willie Moore Jr., Erica Campbell, and Ricky Smiley, I'm actually in over 100 cities every single week. So Willie Moore Jr., that's my brother. That's my brother from another mother and father, but we're both adopted. And we often tease each other that we are actually related for real. So let me just kind of level set where we are in America and why this topic is so passionate for me. So many of you who are listening here, you may potentially be a baby boomer, or you may have a parent or grandparent who is a baby boomer. And let me tell you the reason why I'm focused on them specifically. The baby boomers, they are the richest group in U.S. history. Ever, and as long as America has been in existence, they are the wealthiest group. And over the next 25 years, an estimated $68 trillion will be transferred. $68 trillion. Black Americans are missing out on the largest transfer of wealth in U.S. history because they don't have an estate plan. Okay. And so this is really, really important that we talk about this, because I know a lot of people say, I'm not wealthy. My family's not wealthy. Listen, if someone in your family, if you own a house, you're wealthy. If you have some land, you are wealthy. If you have a bank account, you are wealthy. Whatever, if you're at $5,000 or $5 million, whatever you have, that is your wealth. That's what you've accumulated. And we're going to have to be extremely intentional about having a plan. And that's why traditionally, Black folk, we start over each generation because we haven't known what to do. We haven't taken the steps to literally protect our legacy and also transfer our legacy the right way. So I'm going to apologize about a couple of the slides. I've noticed when they were uploaded, some of the content got a little bit condensed. So I will walk you through any of the challenges. I see this overprint on this one. And another fact that I just kind of wanted to highlight, I know you all are probably chiming in from all over. I do live in Atlanta. I know that Evangelist Doris is out of the Michigan area. Some of you are in some other places. But just to give you some context, in Georgia, it says between 11 to 25% of parcels in every Jordan County are probable heirs property. And I'm going to explain what all this means. This represents over $34 billion of tax appraised land that is locked equity. So what that means, between 11 and 25% of land, houses in every county in Georgia is locked up in estate issues, meaning that it can't pass to the next generation because the person who passed away didn't take the proper steps. So there's $34 billion of equity value that family members don't have access to. That's just Georgia. That's just Georgia, highlighting specifically where I live, just giving you an idea of the magnitude of the problem. So in this presentation, again, of all the things that people ask me to talk about, this is by far my favorite topic. And I like to kind of reference legacy planning in the context of a journey, a roadmap. And there are lots of steps, because a lot of people always think when you're talking about legacy planning that we're only talking about wills and trusts and power of attorneys. And by no means, I'm not saying that those documents aren't important. They are very important. But there's so many other ways, y'all, that you, me, us, things that we can do literally today that can have significant impact on our legacy. Because, a lot of times we're thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have the money to afford a lawyer, or I don't know where to start. Some of the things I'm going to highlight and help you with today, literally, you could start on them tomorrow. You could work on them this weekend. You can literally take action right away. So it's really important that you know what to do, but I also want to make sure that you're sharing this information with your loved ones as well, because it's very important that it's not just about us getting our stuff together. We want to make sure that the people who are around us, could be colleagues, friends, family members, we want to make sure that the people around us who we care about also have this information so they can take the appropriate steps themselves. So we're going to focus on a few different areas today. We're going to talk about organizing your important documents and contacts, organizing your work information, and also deciding who's going to be in charge of your affairs. Those are the things I'm going to focus on today. But there's so many other things on the roadmap to leaving your legacy. Updating the beneficiaries on your life insurance policies, making sure that you're having the talk, with the people who you expect to step up if you become ill or pass away. Or for a lot of you, you are going to be the person in charge if someone that you care about either becomes ill or passes away. Okay, so just want to make sure that you understand this time is yours. Please, please, please. I want you to ask the questions, get the clarity that you need. Because again, I'm not here just to share the information that I want you to know, but it's critically important to me that you get the direction that you need so you can take the appropriate steps for you and your family. So please, again, use the chat, drop your questions in the chat, and that way I can certainly make sure that I address them. So one thing that I want to share that I was led to share right before I jumped on the session with you all this evening is I am personally in a season of addressing or tackling things head on that I have been afraid of. I am really in a season now where God is really directing me to handle some things that I, again, either had been procrastinating about or quite frankly have just been afraid of. And certainly that means I have had some discomfort and I've had to take action and do some things that I have not done in the past. And I'm sharing that with you specifically because even in the context of getting your affairs in order, a lot of us know that we should do it, but it's scary. It can be difficult to think about someone that we care about becoming sick or passing away. It can be difficult for us to think about it. And so I see people avoiding it. And, but I want you to know that you can do hard things. But we have to make that decision and commitment to really kind of lock in and face some of the things that make us uncomfortable, that we are equipped to do that. And I just want you to know I stand with you. I completely understand, certainly because of the personal season that I am right now. But there's no better time than right now to lean in for sure. Okay. So, where I like to start is deciding who will be in charge of your affairs. So, you can think about this topic through you personally, like, oh my gosh, if I did get sick, who's going to make decisions for me? Or if I do pass away, who is going to be in charge? So, certainly, I want you to think through the lens of you, but also I want you to think through the lens of, again, maybe you do have a parent or a grandparent or someone else in your life who may be expecting you to step up as well. So, again, I want you to think about it a little bit more holistically when I describe these different roles and the jobs of these different people. This is who I call your legacy dream team. Your legacy dream team. So hold on. Um, let me let me go through this and then I'm going to go back to the other slides. So again, I don't know why when I uploaded the slides, some of the print got adjusted a little bit. So let me just share this with you. Your executor, agent for your healthcare directive, agent for your power of attorney, your trustee for your trust, and your guardian for your minor children or children with special needs. That happens to be your legacy dream team. And again, some of the print is off a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of walk you through this. So the executor of your will. This is the person, when somebody passes away, this is the person that's in charge. They are in charge. They have the job of potentially planning the funeral, paying final expenses, making sure whatever's in the will gets carried out exactly what the will says. So this is obviously a person of trust, but this is also somebody that can handle business. They do well under stress or duress. So a lot of times we want to pick people because we're related to them. Um, your sister, who you may love and trust implicitly, may not be equipped for the job. Oftentimes, we maybe need to be picking people who aren't even related to us to be in charge. So I don't want you to just feel compelled because of blood relationship. Again, this is about who's most equipped for the job. So the executor, this is the boss of the will. Next is your agent for your healthcare directive. So, you've been to the doctor's office and you may have had to sign the form of who they can share information with or who could be in charge. So your agent for your healthcare directive is, in the event that you cannot make health decisions for yourself, what person or people do you want to have that responsibility? Super important job. Very important job. So that's your agent again for your healthcare decisions. Now, the good thing about the healthcare directive, you could say, yes, I want to be on life support, or no, I don't. Yes, I want to be fed intravenously. No, I don't. But just in case, maybe something happened, a person is in a coma, they have a surgery, there's some complications. You are still alive, but you need some support. Another very important job. Next is your agent for your power of attorney. So again, think about it. This is really important. That means someone is still alive. They have not passed away, but they need someone to step in their shoes and transact and handle business on their behalf. Super important. When I was 29 years old, my mother passed away. She had been diagnosed with colon cancer in October of 1999. By March 2nd of 2000, my mom passed away, just a few short months. It was just life-changing that I had I had the power of attorney. I was able to step into her shoes and handle business because she was in the hospital. absolutely a game changer during a very, very tough time at a very young age. So again, power of attorney. Now, what happens with that power of attorney, y'all, when the person passes away, the power of attorney is null and void. Now the will kicks in, okay? Next important job is the trustee for your trust. And we hear about trust. And people are like, oh my gosh, I need to have my house in my trust, or I need to put money in the trust. What the trust job essentially is to maybe your adult children or your nieces or nephews, you know that when you pass away, you want to leave proper provisions for them, but you're like, you know what? I just don't think it's a good idea that they get all the money up front, all at one time. And listen, a lot of people, grown folk, aren't prepared to get money all up front. And that's what a trust job is. Now, a trust is, its job is to all the assets now go into the trust, and then you get to decide who gets what over what period of time. And that's the trustee's job, to make sure that that money, those assets get distributed how you choose them over the period of time that you have selected. And then last, and this is the one that is so difficult for people to talk about, guardian of your minor or special needs kids. People think the will's job is only just to give away the money or the assets that you have. In your will, you decide who will raise your kids, your minor children or your adult children with special needs. Your guardian has a really important job. You don't want the court deciding that. You don't want the wrong relative raising their hand for that job. You want to pick that person based on your values and your beliefs and what's important to you. So that is what's really important here. Though that this is your legacy dream team. So again, just be thoughtful. You can use the same person for all of the jobs. You might have a couple of different people, or you may need two people to act together at once. If you think, oh, this might be too much responsibility for my brother or for my daughter, I want to put these two people together to help. But again, remember what I said. You want the most qualified person for these roles. The most qualified doesn't mean the most closely related. All right. So here's a little scenario that I have for you, a question. John has been happily married to his second wife for 25 years. They don't have any children together, but they both have two adult children from their previous marriage. Recently, John had a heart attack. He's been recovering, but he recognizes that he is getting older and it's time to prioritize his estate plan. He knows it's time to get his affairs in order. His blended family doesn't always see eye to eye, so he knows that all hell will break loose when he passes away. Now, everybody who's here for this session or watching it recorded, we all know in death, all bets are off. We have seen some folk we love act just a fool during death. So John is like, wait, I want to get ahead of that. So there's three people that he's considering being the agent for his healthcare directive. His wife, Amy, A, loves John, but she isn't good under pressure, but she knows him the best. B, his biological daughter, Shannon, she wants to be in charge, but he knows that she has a short temper. And then C, his stepdaughter, Lisa. She lives in the same city and is level-headed, but she often clashes with his biological daughter, Shannon. And then is D, none of the above or someone else. So, who do you think John, I want you to drop it in the chat. Who do you think John should select as his healthcare directive? Who should be the person to make his healthcare decision? Should it be A, his wife Amy, B, biological daughter Shannon, or C, stepdaughter Lisa? Love to know what y'all think. Drop your answer or any thoughts or why you're selecting who you're selecting to. I'm super curious why. What is your why and when you're selecting? Now, what's interesting about this is the right answer depends. It just depends. As a wife, I'm thinking I certainly would want or expect to be the person in charge. But, maybe he's thinking, maybe it's his stepdaughter, Lisa. It depends. Right is relative based on personalities, um, all of the factors. Okay. And so the reason why I love using this particular scenario is it depends simply based on your family, your situation, your beliefs, what you have seen transpired in the past. Um, Evangelist Dora says, his wife, she has been with him 25 years. Listen, I'm thinking the same thing too. Karen said, D, none of the above, someone else, right? So we have to pick somebody, because when we don't make a plan, guess who picks? The court can pick, and it might not be the person who you think is most equipped and best to take on the job. So let me just say this, that's my slogan. Thank me later. If you choose your legacy dream team, you will absolutely thank me later. It is imperative that you select the folks, because again, if you don't, not making a decision, you are actually making a decision. The courts can get involved. It can become extremely expensive. And guess what? Stressful. It just becomes stressful. So our goal here, we can't fully eliminate the stress or the conflict, but our goal certainly is to minimize it. So I hope that was helpful. That way you absolutely have the clarity on the different roles and how things can get a little interesting and how they play out. Okay. So next section that I really like to focus on is getting organized. So I mentioned a little while ago, when I was 29 years old, my mother passed away from colon cancer. And at 29, I was in charge. So very interesting story. My mom was a superwoman, very unconventional woman. And at 30 years old, she adopted me as a single woman. My mother was never married, and just she could not have children, and was determined to have kids. And so when my mom passed away, I lost my only parent. I was thrust at 29 in charge. And so what was so beautiful for me was my mother gave me the most beautiful gift of all, which was the ability just to grieve, because everything was in perfect order. Every document had been executed, the will, the power of attorney, the healthcare directive. I knew where everything was. I knew where every important document was. I knew every important person. She had planned her service. And that was just the greatest gift of all, because it allowed me more space to grieve versus looking and searching and making these very tough decisions. She got exactly what she wanted, and I got exactly what I needed. And so that's why I really want to emphasize that certainly I do want you to have your documents together, but I also want you to have your life organized, because it's going to make things significantly easier for you now, here, and then for your family later on. So think about this. Important documents. Drop in the chat where y'all keep your important documents. And be honest, because it's probably like in the filing cabinet, on my laptop, under my bed, in the safety deposit box. Give me an idea of where you keep some of your important documents. Where are they? Where are the important documents? And while you all are dropping that in the chat, let's talk about what your important documents are. So I've kind of broken up into 4 main sections, like your identifying information, like your birth certificates and passports, social security cards, insurance, super important, life insurance, homeowners insurance, auto insurance, where's all that stuff? Your financial documents, those could be titles to cars or deeds to properties. Super important that we know where all those financial documents are. And then we might have some legal documents and even our tax documents. So you might have adoption papers or your marriage certificate. Maybe there's some military papers, divorce papers, and of course, all of our previous tax returns. So um, it's really important that you can get your hands on your important documents like this. But what if you become ill or if you pass away? Who knows where your stuff is? Do they have access to it? Maybe you're in charge of your parents or grandparents. Do you know where their important documents are? Um, so y'all are putting different things in the chat. Fireproof box with a key. Thank you, Karen, for sharing that. Sharon says my important documents are in a file cabinet. It's beautiful when you have your things condensed. Very important, though, that someone else knows where they are. So that way, people reach out to me all the time, particularly with me working in radio, nationally syndicated radio. I hear from people all the time. People are spending days, weeks, months looking for papers, looking for life insurance policies, looking for, the divorce decree to prove, that their grandmother was no longer married, to grandfather. You know what I mean? It's just we need to be able to get our hands on that stuff. Um, Evangelist Dora says, in a hard case briefcase, a file drawer, and in a labeled box. Um, Most often, people have their important documents in multiple places. And now, with the use of computers, a lot of people have stuff literally saved on their computer. So, again, whatever your system is, if you like it, I love it. There's not one master system, but make sure if you live with someone else, do they know? A lot of times, not to be a little discriminatory, a lot of times we women are the ones who tend to know where the important things are. Just make sure, whether it's your mate, spouse, adult children, close relatives, someone else needs to know where those documents are. So again, this is just a kind of a quick, easy way on how to organize those documents. Now, here's another area. This was so important when my mother passed away. I knew who every single important person was. I knew who prepared her taxes. I knew who her real estate agent was. I knew who all of her doctors were. I knew who the handyman was who helped around the house. So my mother lived in Rochester, New York, where I'm originally from. And I was living in Atlanta at the time when my mom passed away. Just think about how empowering that was. I knew who her car insurance agent was. I knew who every single person. Not only did I know who they were, I also had their contact information. So you think about how quickly, again, I was able to get in contact with everybody when it was time to cancel her car insurance or when it was time to sell her house, when it was time to get some work done around the house before we sold it. I knew exactly who to talk to. Again, think about how empowering that is. So whether you have adult kids, siblings, or whomever you may need to share some information with. So what I do with my adult kids, I do it the new way, how they're going to do it. So, for example, our CPA, our tax preparer, I literally have shared that contact with my kids. They have her name, Angela Dotson, how to get in touch with her, email address, cell phone number, and her office number, and why they need to talk to her. Super important. I've made it easy. And so once a year, I kind of do this fire drill. My youngest son, Cameron, lives in Houston. My oldest son, Trevor, lives here in Metro Atlanta. When we're all together once a year, I do a little refresher. Hey, pull out your phone. Show me that you have the contact information. Super important to me that I know that my children know how to get in touch with whomever they need to get in touch with. Okay, work information. This is a lot of ones that people absolutely overlook. A lot of times, y'all, the keys to the kingdom are at work. What do I mean by that? Obviously, people get paid through work, but a lot of times that's where their disability insurance is. They may have a life insurance policy. So if someone becomes sick, um, you may need to be able to get in touch with their supervisor, maybe someone who works in HR or in the benefits department. Well, who do you need to get in touch with? Super important that we share that information with our loved ones, and that our loved ones also share that information with us. Okay, because you want to be able to move very quickly. So in the event someone passes away, obviously different steps, because you want to make sure that you're collecting the last paycheck. You want to make sure that you're handling anything related to the retirement the right way. Maybe they had a laptop or some property of the company. There's so much important, rich information with the employer. So, again, you want to share that information out with your trusted folks, but whomever, again, that you may be in charge of, you want to make sure supervisor, maybe one or two very close work friends, because some people, their work colleagues can become like family to them. Like, who do you need to call when it's going down? Again, please make sure that you share that information. Okay. If you get organized, I promise you, you will thank me later. I need you to be intentional and schedule time to get it done. Because think about it, the things that I'm talking to you about, you can do them right now. You can schedule some time this weekend. You could take a couple of hours and organize your important documents. You can put together the list of your important people. You don't have to hire anybody to do that, okay? But you're going to have to make the commitment of the time. Super important that we do that. Okay. So, one thing that I told Evangelist Doris that I wanted to just talk about very quickly is um, people always say to me, Janai, I want to focus on my legacy, but how do I do that when I am drowning in debt? What do I need to do? So, if you're one of those people, listen, we need to tell the truth first of all, but I'm super excited that we recently have launched a new course to help people get out of credit card debt. So you can go to thankmelatermoney.com, again, thankmelatermoney.com, and get the guidance that you need to help you. Again, it's hard when you're in survival mode. It's very difficult to focus on your legacy. Very difficult to do that. So I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to take advantage um, of our new amazing course that I'm so excited about. So if you need some direction or if you need some help, our university has an amazing strategy to help you get through the process. And again, go to thankmelatermoney.com to learn all about our course and the direction you need on how to negotiate lower interest rates with your creditors. Yes, you can do that. How to change your payment dates to align with your budget. Yes, you can do that. Um, how to potentially borrow money from another source at a much lower interest rate. Let me tell you a very quick story. Again, because of radio, I hear from people all the time. Young woman contacted me. She had several cards. Her interest rates 34%, 38%, 42%. Who can get out of debt when their interest rates are that high? It's not meant for you to get out of debt. So, again, getting those balances transferred to other cards or negotiating other rates is critical to your strategy for getting out of debt. So, again, please check out our course, thankmelatermoney.com, and happy to give you some direction on your journey if you need some support in paying off that credit card debt. When I launched my business, that's how I launched my business, with credit cards, and I absolutely needed a strategy to be able to get out of debt. Another thing too that we're working on right now, and I was telling Evangelist Doris about it, we have an amazing product called a Legacy Life Organizer, which is really a guide to help you get all of your affairs or your loved ones' affairs in order too. So be on the lookout for that. That is definitely coming soon. And now I just want to take any questions that you all have. Please stay connected with me. But if you have any life going on, if you are having some challenges with a loved one, if you are having some challenges getting your affairs in order, if you need some direction, please use this time to engage with me and get your questions answered. So I'm going to leave this screen up for a minute because I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to take a picture of it or whatever you need so you can follow me on social media or check out our website. Any questions that y'all have? No, you got to have some questions. One thing that people often ask me, where can they get help in getting their documents prepared? For those of you through your employer, you may actually have access to reduced fee legal help. Very common with your benefits to do that. That might be a really good way to get your will done or to get your will, trust, and healthcare directive and power of attorney done. So please lean in and take advantage of that. That's typically a pretty common question that people have for me. Y'all are awfully quiet over there. I cannot believe y'all don't have any questions.
Well, I'll ask the question.
Oh, sure, of course, Evangelist. Yes,
So you talked about the will coming into play, and then you talked about the trust. And
yes,
if you have an executor or the person that's in charge,
yes.
uh, so do the two work together? The will and the trust. How does that work in terms of if, of course, the person had died and they have a revocable trust, and so and let's assume that the will was signed and but maybe it's not at the county, I guess, or at the records office. So how
Yeah.
does that work?
Right. So let me address the first thing that you're talking about because, some people, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. They get their wills done, they are properly signed, witnessed, notarized, depending upon where you live. Um, Most people never file it with the county. Here, where I live in Georgia, it's not required to file it with the county. Some people do, and I don't want to speak for everybody where they all live, but there typically is not a requirement to file it with the county. That's why it's very important that somebody knows where that important document is, because you can have a will and now the family's tearing up the house looking for it. Nobody can find it. So having the document, it must be properly signed, witnessed, and notarized, depending upon the state. In Georgia, for example, you must have two witnesses. Your state may not require that, but typically it always must be notarized, though. That's super important. So, yes, you can have a will and trust. Now, again, there's separate documents. They do kind of work together, but they have two different jobs. So, let me just use myself as an example. I have a will. And my will is saying, hey, this is who's in charge. This is who my executor is. This is the boss. My will is also saying, hey, you know what? If my executor, my husband isn't available, who's next in line here? And then my will also says, this is who I want to get what. But now I say, you know what? I love my kids, trust my kids. But I don't want to put them under the pressure of having that responsibility of inheriting money and having it all at once and not be feeling equipped. So what I said was now I created a separate document, my trust. And now what happens is money that I have, whether it's in my retirement or other investments in the bank, that now is going to go in the trust. And now I've said, guess what? I want my kids to get money, when they graduate from college, when they get married, when they buy a house. Um, I have now the trust now is going to make sure people receive what they're supposed to get over a period of time, not all at once. Because at the will, whoever is supposed to get what they want right at the time that the reading of the will and the executor is doing their job, those people get those assets right away. In a trust, It could be 10, 15, 20, 30 years later that people are now inheriting.
Very good. Uh, you also, and there is a question
Yes.
that, do you have a plan for those drawing in student loan or drowning in student loan debt?
Journey to with that. So for people, things have just been so crazy with the federal government and student loans right now. Um, I strongly suggest people check out the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, nfcc.org, O-R-G, National Foundation for Credit Counseling. They have great support for student loan debt, but they're also great if you just need help with budgeting and money management. So again, nfcc.org, check them out as a source.
nfcc.org?
Org, O-R-G, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, Going back to what you said earlier about property and land
Yeah.
and the value of that.
Yes.
Maybe someone missed that, but I heard you at the beginning that it is important that we understand the value behind
Yes.
having that and what that means to
Right.
either the next generation.
Yeah. I mean, certainly under we need to have an idea or understanding. And my thing is this, even if, because what it's worth today, obviously it could be very different what it's worth tomorrow, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We have to have a plan of what's going to happen with it. What's going to happen? So if when somebody passes away, who's going to get it? Now, what I've seen some families do, which creates so many problems, people will add, someone has 5 kids, they put all 5 kids on the deed. It can be difficult to get that many people aligned with a plan. Are they going to sell it? Are they going to keep it? So, have an idea, and then who's most equipped, because, certainly you get it, but there's going to be upkeep, and there's going to insurance, and there's going to be property taxes. So a lot of times, particularly with us dealing with these younger people, a lot of times they don't understand the responsibility that comes with land or home ownership. There's no better time now to make sure that we're educating them, because a lot of times for them it just feels like work, and then they just kind of want to get rid of it. So it's very important that, again, that whether it's part of your will or depending upon the state that you live in, you can actually transfer land without having a will. We're able to do that in Georgia. You can do that in Florida, but all states have different rules. But you want to be intentional, because otherwise, again, you can get stuck in probate court, and 2 or 3 generations down the line, those issues aren't resolved, and it can become very, very expensive. It could be a huge financial commitment because there has been no plan.
Okay, Janai, I want to go back to, I don't see any questions, so I'm asking questions that
Oh, for sure.
typically ask
Yeah.
about credit card debt. You
Yeah.
talked about the interest rate being so high, and you recommended the NFCC as a resource. Speak to, uh, let's say someone has emergency money saved up, and they said, well, I've been told that maybe I should take that emergency money and either pay down or pay it off, whatever
Right.
the person's ability might be. What would you recommend, being a financial expert?
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard that question before.
Right. You know, what's interesting about life is there's always going to be something that happens, a car repair, a medical bill, just something that's going to come up. It always happens. The question is, how prepared are we for it? And when we don't have anything set to the side, what typically happens, a new set of tires or medical bill can turn our whole life upside down. And so I think it's imperative that we do have some emergency money available to us. I think it's super important. So I'm saying all that to say, I think it's an and. So you don't have to have $20,000 set aside, but you need to have $1,000 to $2,000 set aside. So when the rain comes, because the rain is going to come, you're ready for it. And now you really want to double down on your plan to deal with that debt. What I made reference to is for the credit card debt is a course that we have available at thankmelatermoney.com. And really, Evangelist Doris, a big part of that is, when I was in debt, when I was in a lot of debt, what helped me get out of debt faster was having more income. It's a game changer when you have a whole different source and you're just using this new source of income to help you get out of debt. So I think a lot of times people have this, one pie. They have this one paycheck and they're trying to take care of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
You need more pie. A lot of times we may need more pie. So yeah, please have that savings set to the side for sure.
I want to ask our audience, is there anyone with other questions related to the subject matter that she's been talking about?
Right. And that's why I have this screen up. People can certainly feel free to reach out to me on social media, because I know a lot of people are going to view this later after this live recording. So they'll have the opportunity to engage. So I just wanted to say thank you again for the invitation to be here with you this evening. And I hope this information has been helpful. And I hope people understand how easy it is to begin to take the steps to get their legacy and affairs in order. We shared some things today. We talked about some things that people literally could work on this weekend. Literally.
Absolutely. I want to commend your mother for that. Is so unusual to hear a single mother, and we're in the month of May, and we're celebrating all month long for mother figures and women, and winning with wisdom. And wow, what an opportunity to encourage other single mothers that may be out there, or just individuals that are not married, to get their business in order. I was that the inspiration that kind of inspired you along this pathway of financial accountability and so forth?
Oh, for sure. Two things happened to me. The first major event for me was when I was 12, my grandfather died, and he lived in Delaware. And at 12 years old, my mother took me with the rest of the family to the reading of his will.
Wow.
And it changed my whole life to think this man who never even graduated from high school, uneducated, and but had a very strong business acumen, left our family with complete order.
Wow.
So that happened to me at 12, and I never forgot that. And then, fast forward 10 plus years later, then my mother gets ill and passes away. And again, every single thing was in order. And I just kind of thought that's how things were. And then when I started working in radio, and people would always call me when somebody died, Janai, my sister died, my husband died, my son is in the hospital. People would always call me looking for direction. And I'm like, what is going on? Just all of this chaos. I'm like, this is crazy. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so that's really when I started really doubling down and focusing in this area, doing this. And then also in Atlanta, for the last 4 years, I've done this event called Black Women Will, where we do free estate planning. We create documents for free for Black female homeowners, just
Wow.
really to help normalize and to fill the gap. And so, really, it's just a change of behavior. We've gotten used to things being broken, but just because we're used to it, it doesn't make it right. It's not right. It's just become normal. And
Right.
so now we have to be intentional about creating a new normal. And so when we're talking about, again, having these documents or having the conversation with your family and having a plan, we have to create a new normal now and set a new bar and set a new tone. But again, I'm just very grateful to have been raised in a family where my grandfather didn't play. He was about business. Again, uneducated, but
Wow.
he was about business, and my mother followed that model. And again, all of that obviously had tremendous influence on me.
Wow. Well, this has been incredible. As Karen has mentioned, she said, please come back
And talk
and
about.
share again
Yes.
and talk with us about holiday spending. We so that, of course, that's a hot topic,
Right.
and in this season, as you started out, we just need to be wise and use uh, good decision making. And you really have encouraged us. And I hope each person that is listening right now
Yes.
would not just keep this information, but make sure you tag and share and pass it on. I want Janai to know how valuable her
Mhm.
time has been to the dwelling place. And I certainly appreciate a person with her expertise and her profile to really take out her time to come and share with us,
Yeah.
and no strings attached. And I'm just really grateful for your time. And this certainly won't be the last time. And you have really given us basic fundamental principles. And those that may have joined late, please go back and
Yeah.
listen to the beginning and
Right.
look at the PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, she explained in simple terms
Mm-hmm.
what the different roles and responsibilities are for legacy planning, and why is it so important. I mean, it's so important.
It's
We want
definitely
to pass it
important.
on. We don't want to get it caught up and spend extra money in
Mm-hmm.
probate court and all that unnecessary stuff.
Right.
We can avoid some of that. So
We
I want to
can.
let you have your last few words, and I don't see any. Um,
Well, I did want to,
sure.
Evangelist Doris, I just wanted to acknowledge the comment from Sharon, and she just talked about she and her
Okay.
sister are in the process of getting their father's affairs in orders, and how her father is, beginning to forget some things. And what I want all of us to be encouraged to do, particularly with our loved ones, is to move, but move very quickly. And just because we move quickly, we're not pushing somebody in the grave. We're not doing
Already.
that. We're not doing that. But I hear what Sharon is saying. Her father's already forgetting. The longer it takes, the less he could potentially remember. So, um, we're not being greedy. We're not just waiting for folk to die so we can inherit what they have. We have to have some order. So we have to have order. We need to have a level of urgency too. So super happy, Sharon, that you and your sisters are working together. Love to see when families can actually work together. It's huge when we can do that. And for you all to be on one accord and share information and help get the plan in place, because your father's needs are only going to increase. He will need more support. So again, thank you for having me here, Evangelist Doris. It's been an honor to be here. I look forward to coming back again. And
And
thank you for
Janai,
everyone. Yes. Yes.
didn't mean to interrupt, but I have one more question that is in my mind,
Sure.
and which maybe you can help us with.
Sure.
When there is a lot of names associated with property or land, um, what is the recommendation to kind of sorting that out when there may be individuals that, it's a group. And so then how do you begin to bring the group together to say,
Mhm.
hey, what's going to happen over here? How are we going to do this? Or how are we
Right.
going to do that? Do you have a recommendation for moving things along?
I do. I see so many families, including my own, who just don't want to have the conversations. And just to say, hey, we have this house, our grandparents had this house or had this land. How does everybody feel? And, because some people are like, oh my gosh, it has to stay in the family. Some people are like, we could sell it today. And, when people say, what their preference is, it's super important that we don't take it personally. If someone wants to keep it and another person doesn't, it doesn't make the person who doesn't want to keep it a bad person. It's their preference. It's their preference. So getting clarity on who wants to do what. A lot of times, what actually needs to happen, but most people aren't prepared for, when you have multiple people who are inheriting a property, some people want it, some people don't. Do the people who want the property have the ability to buy out the people who don't
Okay.
want it? Because you can't do that. It's easy to do that. So then that way everybody wins, you know, everybody wins. Because again, if you got 5 or 6 people who inherit, um, do 6 people want to, split what the taxes are, what the insurance
That's a good
having the
recommendation.
same viewpoint. It's okay. It's not a bad thing, but people are so emotional because again, a lot of times, that land, that house, it's not just about money. It's sentimental. It has value that you almost couldn't write a check for. So I see families getting stuck there. They want everybody to feel the same way. Why would everybody feel the same way? That's not even possible. The more people you add, the more complicated it gets, though. Certainly, it can get more complicated. But yeah, that happens all the time in families. Again, the people who don't want the property, they can absolutely get bought out, and the people who do want it can, they can keep it and, keep it within the family.
Okay, thank you so much
Yes.
for your time, and thank you, viewing audience, for your participation on tonight. And I just encourage you throughout the month, we will be having other speakers, dealing with the subject, winning with wisdom, and in different areas of their life. So I appreciate just starting with financial legacy and just helping, giving us resources to help you get out of credit card debt. Uh, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please,
Absolutely.
uh, please come back and be with us. I will definitely reach out, and you can certainly reach out to me. We definitely want to take advantage of your resources that you
Yes.
indicated tonight, and have you come back and even talk about it and present it on the dwelling place once again. So I'm going to go ahead and end our broadcast again. Uh, oh, here's of course, my husband now has a question.
Oh, your
Uh,
husband, what did your husband, what did he say?
It says, is it all right to make investments after you retire?
Is it all right to
It,
make investments after you retire? Listen, I, I don't think retirement is just this defining moment. Of course, if you want to, I think you should. Absolutely, absolutely. I know some people who are just as engaged with saving and investing during retirement as they were when they're working. Absolutely. Again, based on your budget and your priorities, no question. There's no question that I would continue to do it in retirement.
and maybe to add to that, there's probably some steps you want to take to make sure that we're, you're working with a reliable and a suitable and understanding. I mean, the ins and outs, I guess.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, certainly want to educate yourself for sure. Well, good. Well, again, it has been a pleasure. Thank you again for the invitation. And I look forward to coming back soon. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in and watching whenever you choose to watch.
All right. Stay with us, Janai, and I'm going to go ahead and end for tonight. Thank you.
Okay. All right.